going on, guys? Welcome back to Everyday Sugar.
Special
guest with us here today. We got MGK in the building. Actor, rapper.
Fashion guy now. Like, yeah. He dressed way different than when I first met him.
I hate when some of our best and realest conversations are right before we hit tape.
All the time.
I hate it.
You don't want to tell them what we were talking about?
I mean, I don't mind. I don't mind, but I'm with it all the way. But just met MGK, and like, to be honest, like, I felt like I knew him already for like a couple of years just off the conversation we had. You know what? But it is what it is.
Problems.
Problems.
I got problems like that.
Problems.
Y'all think I got problems?
You got multiple problems.
You got big problems.
You got multiple
Yeah,
problems.
you got problems.
It depends on who you asking, how your problems work.
I think I got to go through a realization of like confront those problems.
It sounds like you and MGK could do it together at a later date. And there might be some
We
content.
could do it today. I'm good. What's up, though?
Yo, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's nice to have you here.
Good to have you,
I know you
bro.
don't love doing interviews, so we appreciate you coming.
Yeah.
What is it for you? Just don't like people trying to pick your mind apart? Or
No, I don't mind that. I think, I enjoy a good interview. So, I mean, that's why I'm here. I'm a fan of, I only go and do stuff I'm like a fan of. So,
We appreciate it.
Well, beyond the interview, I just wanted to have a conversation. Like, I feel like sometimes, like, when people that we fuck with come up here, we just have like great conversation more than just like a Q&A. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I think that's more so what it is. Like, if I can just go and, it's not so back and forth. I don't know.
Yeah, I seen some shit online. I don't know if it was even recent. It was someone was questioning you, and you were like, "Yo, listen, man, fuck all that shit, man. Just like listen to the music." And I was like, he might not be the interview guy. You know what I mean? Like, at some point in a lot of artists' career, you feel like you're done convincing or trying to convince people to fuck with your music or whatever.
I'm done.
And you're like, just go fucking listen. Like, why do I have to like speak and make you kind of feel like I'm that guy to go check out? I'm done with it.
I'm definitely done with that whole thing. I'm definitely done. Like, you know.
You hit a breaking point or something?
No, not a breaking point. I think just a confidence point. It's like,
Yeah.
what can you? And I encourage all artists that. I mean, me and Meek were talking about this in the studio the other day. We were pulling up like freshman covers and looking at that, and we were like, damn, like we lasted. Like that's the success. You know what I mean? Like.
Right.
The success is looking around the room and being like, damn, homie, I remember being in here with you 10 years ago. Like,
And you still trying to figure it out?
yeah. And like, we're still in here, like, going hard. Like, that to me is success. And like, you know, I also see like funny, like, just narratives online just get so switched and moved around that you can't hold on. You can't just sit there as an artist and like believe the narratives that are written about you.
I think like even what you saying, stating confidence, like it's a thin line between what people perceive as confidence and arrogance. You know what I mean? So a lot of times like you worked hard to be able to say, yo, like I shouldn't have to pitch you my shit. I've been doing this, you've been damn near 10 years in this, you know what I mean? So I can understand you not wanting to have certain types of conversations about your music. Now if a person does listen to your music, like that's the thing, it's like a person to talk to and not listen to the music and expect you to just pour out your heart in the interview of what it is, as opposed to them having a conversation, a dialogue about your shit.
Yeah, true. And I think also a lot of times with my stuff, you know, for people to only focus in on singles or stuff, that's stuff that like as an artist I can't control. So like sometimes when, you know, I used to feel some type of way when I wouldn't be mentioned with like lyricists of our generation. I used to be like, man, when I'm, you know, my second album especially, it was just so many bars on there. Like, and
You were going hard.
I was going off,
You were
dude, I was
trying to
going
let
off.
motherfuckers know, like, yo, who rapping out here like me?
Facts. And so like, and even when I would do like the Tim Westwoods or the LA Leakers or the Funk Flexes freestyle, it's like, bro, like we were doing, like, you don't have to do that as an artist. You only do that if you're like hungry and you're like, I want people to, you know how I'm coming. But I think like, it got to a point where I was like, dude, like, I don't know if, I think speaking to a smaller, like to an audience that cares is like means a lot more than trying to get all these people, you know.
Yeah, but I mean your audience is pretty big.
It's
not
huge
like
now,
it's small.
yeah.
The crazy thing is watching you do rap shows and you go to like a, I don't know what rock festival or something. I watch you do. It was like Warped Tour and then one more. The crowd goes insane for you when you come out.
Yeah.
You're like crossing genres with ease, something most artists can't do.
Yeah.
So it's not like a small audience you're dealing with.
And I watched you do it for a while, so like, you know, me and your manager have our own relationship. I remember like you doing the rucker and climbing up on the rim. And I remember being in Tao. I remember you being in Tao and like it was a kid in there that was in a wheelchair and you went like, you didn't give a fuck about everybody else. You went and sat with them and rapped every single word. So it goes to show how much emphasis you put into building your core. And then now, like we said, like you, what, 8 years, 9 years in, you know what I mean? You could see the reflection of it.
Yeah. Damn, that's crazy. The Rucker was crazy.
Yeah, the Rucker was crazy.
Even stuff like that, it's like there's so many hip-hop moments that I like, you know, like for me to sit there and try and beat that into the culture and be like, how could you miss it? But like, that is true. Like, we went and shut down the Rucker.
That's
like
hard. I used to live 3 blocks from there. They don't like anybody.
Anybody.
Yeah.
And like, I
else.
went and made everyone sit down and just listen to something I wrote on the car ride over there. I was like, and we just did a freestyle on top of the basketball hoop in the middle of Harlem. Yeah. And it's crazy because Harlem was the first place I ever got my first rap check.
What?
Yeah, I won the Apollo. I was the first rapper to ever.
What year was that?
2009.
Damn.
$45.
45 fucking
What'd you spend that money on?
I did, and I kept the check. I framed it.
Oh, you got it. Still.
That's hard. That's hard.
$45, my first rap check ever. We drove out here. We stood in line in Harlem from like 2 a.m. till 12 p.m. the next day. I was 49th in line. Went in, did the audition, got it, and came back and yeah, won first place. It was crazy. So like me and Harlem have like a unique relationship, and then came back and did the Rucker. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope.
Do you still like even feel, because again, you know, Nadeska just mentioned, like you do have like a pretty, I think you have a unique audience, but that audience is for you. And sometimes I feel like a lot of artists get caught up in what they see other artists are getting, and sometimes they forget what's for them is not for you. You have your own lane. There's nobody but you that could ever be you. Do you feel like you're so slighted?
yeah, I follow your page. Of course I do. You know what I mean? Like that's just naturally gonna be. I mean, dude, I'm hungry. I want to be the best. You know what I mean? So it's hard for me to settle if you know. It's like when people aren't talking about you, you're like, I gotta make them talk. But like the cool way to do it is like, you know, I love the way Hove moves. You know what I'm saying? Because like he just is always inserting his presence in the game, but it's not like he's, you know, always trying to out-rap everybody or trying to, you know, hating on nobody. He's always just kind of like doing this. And
Yeah.
I've experienced so much of like people doing this to me, so many OGs doing that like, you know, I look to the people that really, yeah, and that's where my mind state is, because I don't ever want to be like that.
Does that make you kind of like stray away, or like you said, your confidence? Has that built your confidence because you've been able to like build and sustain without having like a direct cosign from some big OG? Like,
yeah, I think so. I think like I think when I step outside and when I bring my presence around people and the respect level is amazing. It really is, because I mean, like some people walk in the room and you can just feel, like when Thug walks in the room, you're like, damn, like I don't even have to see that he entered. You can just feel a presence, you know. So like, I think that's important. I'm someone who doesn't like to be like a recluse. I like everyone to feel me. So I like to step out and like make it be known. That's why I feel like a lot of times, even with, you know, artists and all that other stuff, like it's never like smart to speak on people that are constantly out here, because you'll see them.
But does that respect from your peers balance out whatever distance you feel from the OGs? Because they do it to a lot of artists too, unfortunately. And a lot of people feel away. But then if you're about to go on tour with Thug, like you said, you and Meek are in the studio having conversations. These are people that we respect tremendously.
Word.
Does that balance it out?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I guess it's crazy to think about the fact that we've been in it for like long enough to like low key like be OG to like the next generation.
Yeah.
I mean, but I came in young and I'm still in my 20s, so.
damn, you still
Yeah, dude.
This is bugged out.
So I guess I'm still like, I feel like I just now hit where my voice and my lyrics are like working for the way I always wanted it. You know what I mean? Like because I mean, I came in, the cameras came on me at 19. You're not gonna have your shit together at 19.
It feels like we've already known you for a lifetime. It's
Right,
crazy to hear
right.
you say that you're still in your 20s.
Yeah.
You know what's also interesting? It's funny how like even your perspective of things, because like me, the average person who I see your shit, and I'm like, whoa, she be fronting on him. I be thinking like you're just super privileged. So like even hearing you describe how certain people like fronted on you or you know, may have slighted you, I was like, I had no idea that before like you actually brought that to light, because I think the perception, and perhaps it's just because you're white, let's be honest, right? Yeah. Like, it's like, yo, you're super privileged, everything goes your way, and you know, they don't understand that there's a plight behind your career and even your success up to this point.
I think, I mean, privilege, I definitely have never really felt that, especially, I mean, in this particular lane we're talking career-wise, because I mean, I chose hip-hop. So like if I would have, I mean, I came out on the urban charts. I didn't come on the pop charts or the rock chart. I didn't, like, that was, my entrance into the game was strictly that, you know? So like, it's hard for me to, and I was talking street shit. And I had blonde hair and blue eyes. And, you know, so like when you're doing that, like,
A little interesting.
it's a little interesting and it's real hard for people. And I was also playing the guitar on stage, and also I had a 6-inch mohawk. It was very weird for people to understand, because I was crossing genres before that was really like a thing. And I think, if anything, I was one of the most misunderstood freshmen in the game when I had came in. And so I think, you know, privilege isn't.
Did working with Diddy or Bad Boy early in your career, did that help you reach people? Did it hurt?
That's a really good question. I mean, for me, obviously it helped a lot, because, I mean, just personally seeing Puff's house and his operation and stuff, sometimes when you have nothing, you come from nothing, just to see it and physically touch it means you can like attain it. And we don't know that stuff. You know, like a lot of my friends never even left and went downtown.
Yeah.
Like straight up, like when we started doing concerts and we'll go downtown, a lot of people will be like, man, I've never even seen this part of the city. And you're like, damn, like, we live here. Like, this is just 100 blocks away from where we live at. But so when I was seeing stuff, it helped me realize that this is where I can get to. But music-wise and like what Act's talking about, probably not, because I looked the way I looked. And so even like Puff, it was like, Puff was kind of like, damn, like, this is a whole different lifestyle than I'm used to.
Right.
You know, French comes in, French lives more of Puff's, you know what I'm saying, style than I do. So I think, yeah, dude, I kind of felt like an orphan a little bit, you know what I mean? And not because of him, it was just because literally, like, I was just, what can you do with a kid who's rapping his ass off but has a mohawk?
I think that's the biggest, like, one of the biggest, because you from Cleveland,
Cleveland,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, and I think the biggest misconception, because I've been to Cleveland a few times, and people think that because LeBron's there and all of that, that shit is just lit. And Cleveland is a lot of poverty. I mean, a lot of, like, I think that Cleveland, like, is one of the more misunderstood places, because it's not tapped in the Midwest like a Chicago is,
right,
where it has a big city structure. Even like downtown. Downtown doesn't feel like a downtown here, you know, at all. So you think it's like also coming from Ohio, how people don't understand Ohio, because even like Bone Thugs, they did heavy lifting. There's a lot of people that have come, but people still don't really understand or know what Cleveland, Ohio is really about.
Bro, it's huge. Like, even coming, like, you know, all the artists that come out in New York or LA, like, bro, like, y'all know about them as they're coming up. So all the people, like, so you have this want for them to succeed, even if you don't know it, but just because you've seen them, like how you were like, yo, we seen you grow, like, we don't have that, right? You kind of have to either like me or don't like me. And if there's nothing in between, like, he's from Cleveland, I really don't have no attachment to Cleveland, you know what I mean? So it's a lot of that with complexes, you know, and other journal or other fucking sources.
I hear what you're saying.
You know what I mean? Like
blog sites.
Blog site, yeah. Like who's one of them dudes from Cleveland that, you know, it's none that are gonna be like, all right, we're gonna pull up this dude up, we're gonna put him on the cover, we're gonna talk about him. We got to put on, there's, you know, it's kind of like we got to bust in the door, dude. It's a little difficult.
I wanted to ask you about that too, because like on Floor 13, like listening to that, like you say, like you see the blogs and the comments, like is that something that, because y'all don't have that there, you kind of drawn to because you want to know what's going on about you at every moment?
It's like when I put the album out, when I put Hotel Diablo out, and I see people only talking about Floor 13 or something like that, and I'm talking about strictly blogs, because obviously people are like, what an amazing, like, mature album that we didn't see coming from this artist, you know, like, because I love evolution, you know, and that's why I think, like, even like Tyler's album and stuff like that, like, you love that shit because you're like, it's just different from that person. He stepped up, and so, you know, I would do that, and then Floor 13 is a highlight for blogs, and I'm kind of like, damn, you just missed like all these confessions, you know, there's all these other confessions. But this
Glass House, like
Glass House, like,
I wanted to know if that's a true story.
It's true. It's true. I sat there, I put my daughter to bed, and I sat in my kitchen. I was like, it should end right now. And
damn,
Yeah, and also like it
How
was,
hard it was recording something like that?
I waited 3 months to even write the verse where I confessed that whole thing, because that song was only 2 verses at first, and the 2 verses, like, you know, the wow factor of that whole thing when I wrote that was I finally talked about Pete, like how me and him never talked. We sat right next to each other, never spoke, and I always regretted that. You know what I mean? And talked about Mac, talked about Chester. You know, last time I saw Chester, I was leaving the stage, and you know, I left too early because Chester's presence on stage was like so big, and I was such a Linkin Park fan growing up that they invited me out to do this finale with them, and I remember we were in Poland, and I went on stage and I did my part, but then I was supposed to stay till the end, but like he was just killing it so hard that I was like
Overwhelmed?
I just backed off, and he looked at the side stage. He was like, "What the fuck? Where'd you go?" And I was like, "You know, we were about to tour America together," and I was like, you know, it was kind of like the passing of the torch for real, because we were doing all stadiums. It was low. It was about to be like, yeah, the craziest tour of my career ever, for sure. But you know, and I never forget being like, "Man, we'll do it in America. Don't even trip." He was like, "All right." And that was the last time I ever seen him, you know what I mean? So I was letting all that stuff out, but I knew what I was doing with Floor 13 too. I knew that I had to finally address the whole M shit. I knew I had to finally address, like, you know, it's like if the Vietnam War happens, you gotta fucking acknowledge that it happened after it happens.
Right.
You can't just like proceed and be like, anyway, back to America.
I feel you. Yeah, that album is very personal.
Yeah.
That album is very, very personal.
But even that though, that turned out favorable for you though. Like I felt like most people, like just rap fans, like people who really cared about bars, like I thought, you know, niggas would never ever really see past the fact that you were going against like a heavyweight, someone's a legend.
Why does everyone think I went against him? There was 2 songs on that album that came out. He was the first person that ever said my name.
Well, it just felt like you got your flowers, I think is what he was saying.
Got it.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, you're
like
saying,
people
you don't get credit?
actually said,
Yeah. They talked
Yo,
about your
you did
skill
it.
and your talent and how clever you were.
You feel me?
Did you feel that way or no?
What's the question?
That when that was happening, that you got your flowers, that people thought the response was amazing.
they gave you the win, bro.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
You beat Eminem, and again, he'll always be legendary, but I felt you earned a stripe where like people who didn't think, and maybe they were just uninformed, they knew at that moment that you could compete toe-to-toe with even someone we considered a legend.
Yep.
And that's big.
Facts.
And you showed up.
Facts.
How did you feel about that? Because of course, there was a lot of internet shit trying to muddy the waters. I seen it. I
yeah.
seen the comment too.
Yeah. You know, the internet thing trying to muddy it, like, that was a little annoying, because it was kind of like, we can't be a generation that rides like only because a person's a legend, you know, and strictly goes off that factor. Like, when we do something for our generation, like, step up and acknowledge what happened, hold it down. Like, that was not something I was expecting to ever happen, you know what I mean? And like, I said what I said, I don't give a fuck. You can't hold me. You know, and that should be the narrative for anyone in our generation. Like, you can't just hoe us because you're a legend. And like, that was weird. It was out of nowhere. It was weird. It was ill-timed. Mac's death had just happened. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was weird. Like, yeah.
In those moments that you're like either responding or you're even getting deep, like for example, Wayno was saying, or like you're responding to a legend, like how does that, how do you approach that situation? I want to know like your temperament, and like, is like whatever, or you like really think about it, or sit back and be like, damn, this is a moment.
I mean, I remember I was cool with, I remember I was listening to what he had said about me or whatever on the Kamikaze album, and I was like, oh, this is funny. And I remember he said like one line that specifically, I was like, all right, bet, I'm gonna dog this motherfucker. And I was like, hook the mic up. And we went in the locker room of a place that we were performing at, and I just did that on the spot. hours after that shit released.
Hours?
Hours, dude. I was with Odell the night before celebrating his that $100 million contract thing. So I was like still just drunk, like still like, fuck this motherfucker, man. Load the Pro Tools up, and we looked the picture up and started riding this motherfucker. I'm like, bet. Woo woo woo. And I did 3 verses, and I remember I had like, it's funny. I remember I called Corday on FaceTime. I played him first 3 verses. He was like, bro, it's like this end, man. You gotta go off. Like, I'm like, I just went off like 3. What are you talking about? He was like, man, you gotta like just finish him. You know what I'm saying? So I remember I put that 4th verse, and that 4th verse was the mean shit. Yeah.
Switching back to the album and shit, another one of my favorite joints is like Death in My Pocket. I mean, like how Ak was saying, like I just want to know your process, like your mind thought, like you've been doing this for a long time, but I feel like with this album, it's some shit that if a person never heard of you, never knew who you was, they could pick it up and instantly become a fan.
Facts.
But it's because it's like you got so personal. So was it hard to like dig deep and really, really go in? Or was you even thinking of that when you was recording?
I trashed the album in 2018. I can't lie. I had a whole album ready, and I remember I played it for my friends, and they were like, "This is not it."
You ain't keep not one song?
Nah. I had one with Lana Del Rey, and I was like, "Fuck it, that song is actually fire, and we should not throw that away. We're gonna go dig that one back up." But but everything else, I remember it was just, all my homies were like, "This ain't it." Like you didn't let like. I knew that this was the album where it was like I finally had to let everyone in. It was the first time too, like no one even knew my real name. You know what I mean? Like it was just a persona. It was just, imagine only being Machine Gun Kelly.
Yeah, I wonder when you go on like auditions for movies, for Netflix and stuff, do you use your real name or you
I use Coulson. Yeah, I mean, but even thinking back, like even like 4 years ago, if I would have met someone in the club, like I would probably be like, "What's up? I'm Machine Gun Kelly."
Right.
It's a gnarly name to just constantly like, you become lost in that. You know what I mean? You become lost in that. And you become really like. So I mean, Death in My Pocket in particular, like that shit. That's straight substance abuse and truth song.
Right.
That's like, you know, Death in My Pocket is really a metaphor for coke.
Right.
And like,
always. So do you think that like, all right, because I know, like, with you being an artist, did you build like Machine Gun Kelly into a thing to kind of like, because of course this is your dream. Now it's become the biggest thing you ever wanted, but did you build it into something that you felt like you weren't at some times? Because I know that you're a dad, and a lot on the album you touch on like, you know, you want to be old, and you know what I mean, like see your daughter get married and all these different things. Like, was Machine Gun Kelly something that took you away from Coulson, that took you away from like all the shit that really meant something to you?
I didn't like Coulson. I didn't even like the people that gave me the name Coulson. So I was, I'm just getting to know that person. But like, I do know that to get old is a pretty gnarly concept because all my friends are dying. So I mean, this happened to us 3 days ago, and it's just weird. Like, yeah, I just wanna make it. I just wanna be. I just want to be around, man. I just want to be around, dude. It just, you know, and I walk that line, so.
Does that make you kind of go cold turkey and be like, yo,
nah, how? I'm addicted to this shit.
Well, when you see it that close up,
I don't
that
care.
close up.
That's the sacrifice you take as an artist, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta kill parts of yourself to let other people blossom.
Is success what you expected it to be? I think a lot of times from the outside looking in, people see this beautiful glossy life. It's not really that on the inside, but you, when you were still Coulson, before you put out your debut album, is success now as you've experienced it what you imagined that it would be?
My success is weird. My success is weird, right? Like when I was in that, like, I mean, because to the outside where everyone's looking like, dude, you just did this movie, you just did this, you took on this, you know, like all this shit, but when I did that movie, I remember like no one really spoke on that. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't like a celebrated thing. Like, damn, one of our own like is a lead in a movie, playing someone in a biopic. Like, that's a big deal. You have to play there's a real life side by side of somebody to be like, nah, he didn't kill it. and everyone was like, damn, he killed it. So, of course, I'm sitting there like, damn, I wish the culture would have like picked up on that a little bit and like did that, whatever. That was 5 months of my life, like 5 hours of tattoos,
2
covered up
layers of
every
body
day.
paint.
Yeah, like
I saw
that was a
video.
rough
It's
thing for
crazy.
me to go through, especially right after that whole beef thing. Because I'm holding my tongue the whole fucking time. And I also only did one interview. I matched his. You did one interview, I did one interview. So it was like, I was keeping it G and keeping it respectful and like, but like the whole time doing this movie, I'm like, all right, bet, and it came out and it did its thing, but I think like, to me, I came in hip hop. So how can I not want to be the best in what I came in? So like, I'm always,
You
But
give a
that's
fuck
a
about
great-
this.
yeah, I
shit.
give a
Yeah.
fuck about it. So like,
You could care about both,
I am happy
though.
with success,
Right.
but like, like, you see I just dropped the album, I'm pushing. I'm
Yeah.
like,
What was
fuck
it
that.
like getting into character? So to be Tommy Lee, you've already experienced your life as a musician. Now you're getting into one of the roles of playing another legendary musician. That must be some sort of like crazy mental trip, being him in a movie.
Yeah. It was, I took 4 months of drum lessons, so I didn't have to have a drum double. And I lived with the guy who is Tommy's best friend in real life, who's Nicky Six, who's, also in the band. But me and him lived together. I got kicked out of the first apartment. I got.
What, doing too much?
No, honestly, like, weirdest thing I've ever made. It was for sex noises.
You were practicing
Isn't that
sex
weird?
noises? By
Wow,
yourself?
boy. Tap
Weird. I was like, yo, what? So there was a married couple next to us. I had moved into this, so that, you get the choice of where you want to stay when you're going down to shoot. And I picked this building. It was like a modern building. But modern buildings don't build their buildings right, man. It's all paper thin.
Right. Yeah.
All the couches are IKEA, fucking breakable.
So what,
like-
was it really sex noises, or is like?
That was actually what it was. That was verbatim when they told me, like, yo, it's time for you to get out of here. Like, that was the first thing on the line of.
Sex noises.
Yeah,
Was that
so-
extreme?
Yeah, well, me and the couple had words exchanged because I was like, yo, are you the one that called the? I mean, she was like, yeah. Da, 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 da. She said all this shit, and then she was like, and I hear you fucking every night, and da, da, da.
Did you say it was for a movie? No, you didn't say
I
that.
absolutely should have. I fucked up. I should have been like, dude.
Nah,
Come on,
that's
man,
some
like-
extreme shit, man. If you get kicked out for fucking, that's some extreme shit.
Hey, listen,
Yeah.
I mean, what's crazy is you see like these different instances where you see a white person call like police on black people for absolutely no reason. It's like now, maybe they ain't discriminating a bit. No, but yo, I wanted to ask you a question. Like, did you ever feel like in between, like because you come from the hood, I mean, you come from the hood, but like on the surface, people who don't know your story might look at you like, man, he ain't from the hood or some shit. But then on like from people who are in mainstream, like, and I mean like white people might say, well, he not white enough for us because he's kind of hood. Like,
Well, you know what's weird is I feel like a lot of the disconnect between me and those white people is like because I don't promote like street shit the way that it really is in my life.
Right.
Because I don't, like I'm more so like I feel like when people got to fight to be like, man, I'm this, I'm that. I'm like, man, you're a trier. You're not one of us. Like I don't believe your story.
Right.
Like that's weird. Like who fights to be like, man, I was poor, man. All right, like, like it to me, that's goofy. So, when I feel like because I wasn't holding, I mean, dude, anytime I walk around, I had a #1 single when I was pulling out a gun and went to get a pizza one time. Like I was wild, dude, wild shit. Like,
Were you off some shit? Or?
bro, you have no idea, man. Just the from me 2012 to 2017 was like different mindset.
I do want to ask you,
but that's something that you would never see from me in socials. I never post like that's just I don't act like that in post. I don't like that's just all a private life thing.
I do want to ask because as before we started filming, we were talking about substance abuse to some extent, and
Speaking of substance, can I have the rest of it?
Yeah.
Go
Is there
ahead.
anything left though?
Yeah.
So we got some shit. No, but once in real though, someone asked me a question.
Okay.
And I'm the person I've always said, I drink every day, but I'm definitely not alcoholic.
Right.
And I don't know if I'm in denial or.
You're in denial, but keep going.
No, but here's the thing. Someone asked me, this one question, which I still couldn't answer. Because for them, they looked at it, they said, why do you drink every day? What does it do for you? And what is it with you that's lacking or that you're hurt over that is masking? And I couldn't answer it. And I still can't answer
Why
that today.
can't you? Because you're not willing to like dive deep enough, or what? 'Cause there is an answer.
No, there probably is, but I don't know the answer yet. Like the only thing, and it was a very surface level answer. It was like, I like the feeling of feeling buzzed, and maybe like I'm only asking the question to him because maybe he has a clearer answer than what I had, because the answer I had, it felt insufficient.
It's usually pain.
But I can't
Is that
figure out
too
what the
simple?
pain
You
is.
can't figure out what the origin of that pain is.
For you, what is it?
I feel like I can't be social without even being on something. That's just, I like got to that point where I was like, yeah.
Is it because social interactions are superficial? That's what I realized when I grew
That-
up casually. You're just having these sort of like very numb, repetitive, stupid conversations over and over. I'd rather just stare at a wall in silence.
Or sometimes, like I was even thinking, like, do I just like the version of myself of how I act, how people perceive me when I am on the, under the influence?
It's a good point.
And it's like, it's really trying to figure it out. I feel like the people who, and that's why I've been also rejecting that addict title, because I feel like the people that are addicts, they understand why, and I don't understand.
This is what I'm saying. I'm not stopping my shit. So,
But do you ever think about it?
no.
Do you ever think about like some of the friends that you've lost?
The music's great. Life's great.
Is it for creative then?
It is for creative. Absolutely. It is for creative.
Primarily creative?
Primarily creative. If you think for a fucking second that as a rapper who prided himself on being the underdog, or like, these are my struggle situations or whatever, and like, dude, you all of a sudden become everything you ever dreamed of, you're like, oh damn, well, I can't rap. I don't make songs that just disappear. You know what I mean? Like, I try to, most of my songs are songs that like are here to stay, and like that, those type of things don't happen if you don't have somewhere to reach and dig that pain. So you got to create that pain. So I think a lot of what I do is just like, you create that, because when you're fucked up, you do dumb shit.
Oh no, my fault. What I wanted to ask you is like, because what I've seen is that you have like the same team. I mean, like I remember
Facts.
seeing you, Slim,
Yep.
Byron, early on, still see them to this day. Has that been a challenge for them as well? Because you know that you don't only represent yourself.
Yeah, I think, absolutely. I think when me and Slim would go on tour, I think the weirdest point it ever got to was when we would not talk the entire day and only talk on stage. And it's so, imagine like being, because I used to always say that when I would be around bands, I'd be like, damn, why do they all got separate dressing rooms, like on opposite sides of the stadium? Like, how could you ever not? And then, dude, like, you get to that point where where everyone would be like, I don't know what mood Kels is gonna wake up in today. And like, I don't know who he is today. Like, that dude is not the dude I knew. And like, we would dude, pass each other and just be like this. And you see each other on stage like, yo, yada, 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 yada. Da-da-da-da. And it was bro, that was weird, man. That's my best friend. We've been through everything together.
Right.
So like, when that happened, we all kind of, but the thing that's cool is like, when you have honest people and you have people who are like, this needs to stop or this needs to change, and you sit down and you have those talks, that's more important to me than anything. That's like, that's the godfather of my child as well. So I mean,
How does that conversation go?
Yeah, would you ever initiate the
How does that conversation go?
Or do
Yeah,
they
like
have
hey,
to
listen,
initiate?
yo, a little bit too much.
You're out of pocket. Yeah, right. I mean, it's dude,
Again, you're the boss at the end of the day.
but these were all, I was also little homie coming up.
I commend you for saying that.
I was also little homie coming up. I was the one who was like, dude, man, I just want to, because Slim and his brother Dub and all them, like, they were the ones who were like already kind of popping in the city. Like, they produced like a hood anthem for, this side, and they were doing this, and like, I always thought they were cool, and I wanted to, I wanted to record at the house they were recording that, and like, I would come in and rap 64 bars just to have everyone be like, all right, he can hop in the booth. Like, yeah, he got something to say. Go ahead.
Yeah.
So to me, I still look up to all them. So I'm always like, if they don't feel something, that's why I scrapped the whole album. You don't think if I was like on a high horse, I would just be like, fuck that, we're dropping this.
Yeah.
I had to scratch everything and be like, all right, ground zero. But you know, I got a lot of respect for them. I just put my ego aside and just go back to how I was day one and just realize that that's not the person that, you know.
They ever try to like have you like seek help?
Yeah. I think when I was going back and forth on like, yo, I'm a crash my car into a pole, or like, you know, when I was doing, you know, disappearing, not answering my phone or stuff like that. Like, I think everyone was kind of like, yeah, this fool's, he's teetering that line of like, and it was just time for me to get my stuff together. So I mean, you know, that's where I'm at now. My daughter just turned 10. Like, I got a lot of stuff that I'm like, it's a different vibe for me now. You know, it's not, you can't just use that same, you know, depressing story. It's time for me to step up. It's time for me to bring up all the people that are, it's a sad time. It's a lot of people, you know, a lot of people going through stuff. And you realize too, like, the city needs someone to step up and bring some hope to it. That city is just like,
it's tough out there.
it's tough, man. It's tough, and there's so much good music coming from there. I know you rock with a lot of the music that's out. There's so much good music, man.
Yeah, a lot of good creative people too.
Yeah,
like
great creative people.
Great creative
people. Great art, like artists, graphic art, like just great stuff.
Designers,
Yeah,
for
facts.
real.
I'm opening a coffee lounge up there this month.
Word.
Yeah, but you know, it'll have everyone in the city has something to do with that.
That's dope.
Yeah,
That's dope, man. It's good to see. My fault. Go ahead, Dad.
No, I was just gonna say, like, so the album just came out a few weeks ago. It's doing really great. We're really excited, even if you can't feel it when you're out in Hollywood being important. Like, we're really excited when we see you in things like Bird Box, and we hope to see you in more things like that. I know sometimes you can't feel. That's the thing with the internet. The internet will tell you every day how garbage you are. But I don't know if you experience in real life, like, there's a lot of love out there, and like, we're proud of you for doing this kind of shit, and I hope to keep seeing you in movies.
For real.
You know, some like leading roles, like, keep killing it.
Yeah. I got one the other day. I got another lead role the other day.
Really?
Yeah, I'm excited.
What are those reads like for you doing? Like, I remember watching sort of some of the behind the scenes of Game of Thrones when they were doing the table reads for the final season.
Yeah, that was so good. They're sick. I mean, this new one is with me and Cara Delevingne.
Oh, wow.
Which is cool. Like, that's, like, she brought me in on that one. Like, I play her older brother.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so that one comes next year. Me and Pete Davidson got one coming this year. It's called Big Time Adolescence.
But this one premiered at Sundance, right?
Yeah, it's really funny. He did, like, I think he's gonna win an award off it, to be honest. I was just like, you know, supporting, but.
How was the, like, in terms of your nerves and everything? Because you say, like, some shit happened in terms of rap. You're like, yo, you're like a little bit under the influence. In a couple hours, you're banging it out, as opposed to, like, it's a completely different avenue.
Oh,
like,
bro.
how prepared you get, how nervous you get. Because, like, you look like a natural on screen, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, and also, you don't look like you're reaching. You look like you're being a different version of what you already are.
Yeah. Dude, I'm goofy, man. I don't know if I'm fun. I think a lot of people, I'm so serious on camera, I guess a lot of times, even when I look at like my IG, I'm like, ew, dude. Ew, why are you so serious? I mean, like, who cares, man? Like, that Tommy Lee role for me was magic, because I finally got to, like, you know, when I don't have to be, I just want to be an idiot. Like, I just want to be fun. Like, I just want to be fun to be around. And, like, that was one of those movies where it was like, I mean, you're like walking around in Tommy Lee's outfits were terrible. They were like a leopard bottom bikini.
Right, with a robe on and
with a
shit.
robe. Like,
Right.
you're like, bro, like, you can't take yourself too serious. I look forward to all that, man. I really look forward to, like, I love how Chance or Drake or, like, all those people just promote laughing at themselves a little bit.
Right.
Because it's like, dude, like, I'm so done seeing people get caught up in the seriousness of this shit. Like, dude, the consequences are so fucked.
Right.
And everyone's like, yeah. It's like,
What's
yeah.
the I mean, the album's out. You know what I mean, it's moving. Did you have any expectations, or are you just letting the music live and carry on for itself?
Dude, I'm the happiest I ever been. I never had an album come out like the way that this one did.
Yeah.
I'm so stoked.
I felt like
It's the first word of mouth album I ever had.
I felt like this album, honestly, like, you found the place that you were comfortable at.
Facts.
Creatively.
Yeah, man.
But also, you weren't worried too much about what people wanted you. Like you were like, yo, this is me.
This is me.
And I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm all of this.
Yep.
And consuming how you want, you might just fuck with one thing or a couple of things, or you might just fuck with me. And like, I never saw you own that before now.
Because I didn't. I was so influenced by like being like, you know, like you do things like you follow this page or you follow that and you're like, yo, okay, like this is what they want to hear. I got to do this. This is, it gets to a point where I'm like, I don't want to go into my 30s not being myself. I don't want to go into my 30s not having made the album that I always wanted to make. There's 4 albums for me, you know what I mean? Like how many goddamn albums does it take to figure it out? You know what I mean? Like 4 is enough. I feel like Forest Hills Drive for J. Cole was that album for him, you know what I mean? I love that because that was inspiring to me because it was like, oh, you took a journey to find your voice and exactly what you finally wanted to say. I know he's probably proud as fuck of that album. Same with me. It took me 4 albums to finally find that album for me, but I found it. Not all of us, you know, are going off the rip with a good kid, Mad City like Kendrick. Like that was like, bro, you found it first time. And my album dropped the same month as his, so I remember being like, well, he got that one. You know what I mean? Like this to me was the album I always wanted to make. That's why I'm just so happy. I'm not, like, imagine a word of mouth album after 4 albums. Imagine people finally being like, damn.
Yeah,
dude.
that shit came out of nowhere.
Yeah,
it
he was
came out
like,
of
people
nowhere.
were like, man, yo, you should actually listen to this MGK. This shit is like, this shit's going, and that to me meant the most because I'm on the streets all the time. Like, so I'm only kind of going off word of mouth. And so when my name comes in that, it was like, it was an honor.
Yeah, I was just glad that you, I mean, in general, you're someone who don't give a fuck, but like, the I don't give a fuck and I'm gonna be me was genuine on this shit.
Sick.
It was just like, all right, cool, that's you. And you don't like, to be honest, you're the best version of you. Like, no one will ever make an album like that.
Facts.
I can't compare the album to anything that dropped in hip hop. I can't compare it to anything that dropped in rock. I can't compare it to any other album but yours. And I think, you know, number one, I thought it did well. And I think the bravery it took to put that out, I said, it's about time you got to that point.
Facts, yeah.
Because I watched all your interviews and I felt like there was a little discontent sometimes, like you were searching.
Huge discontent. What?
Searching.
I was mad as fuck the first 8 years of my career. I couldn't believe it. And that was probably like an internal thing. Probably mad at myself, like, damn. You know, I even when I look back at interviews, I'm like, bro, what are you so mad at? Like, what are you so like, you know, but I knew what it was. I always wanted to make an album where like, you know, it's just like after the Dirt movie, like what, you know, I remember when I'll never forget when Bird Box came out. I did that 2 years ago. When Bird Box came out, and in the edit that actually ended up being, my character's role was shortened. In the actual filming of it, it was much different. All of us in the house had much, the narrative wasn't like the canoe and the boat and all that back and forth. It was strictly the house for the whole movie and then like the canoe at the end. The way that they did it, it became like the canoe through the whole movie and the house was just like an added thing. So when I saw it, I was like, all right, cool. It's sick that it blew up the way it did, but like my character's arc, as an actor, you want your character to have an arc. You want people to fall in love, be like, oh my God, and then like, what the, that was the resolution. There was no resolution. We fucked and left the house. There was zero resolution.
I hope you feel though that it's just the beginning. I understand.
No, I do.
When you work
but at that time, because I also had the Motley Crue movie coming out too, but at the time, I remember people just being like, man, this is only 5 minutes of screen time, stuff like that, and you're sitting there in your head like, Also, it's funny that I could even let people make me feel weird about being in a giant movie anyway.
The internet does
you know what I mean? Like
it's massive movie.
Yeah, the fact that I was even questioning myself.
One of the most mean movies of last year.
Yeah,
but it seems like, you know, that through this whole tenure, like you've been finding yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And as you grow, you keep finding different levels to yourself. That's dope to see.
I just want I want other artists to like focus on lasting, because like, if you don't think I wanted this shit to get to where it was now 8 years ago, like, you're crazy. Of course I wanted it to be, but it just doesn't work like that. And it doesn't work like that with everybody. And like, there are gonna be those artists that I want to see push through all the hard times and not give up because they're dope, but maybe I don't get a chance to tell them they're dope, or we might not get a chance to tell them they're dope. I just hope that those people push through that shit and get to this point, because like, even this, it's like, dude, we never met. It took me 10 years to get to here.
Yeah, well, we're glad you came.
You know what I'm saying? Like, to even be like, fuck it, I'm gonna go sit down in this chair. But it's it's so worth it if you just last. You know what I mean? Make stuff that matters, make stuff that makes people feel, make things that, you know, connect, because not everyone's like you. Like, not everyone was like me, right? So, like, I only connected with certain people. That's fine, though. Connect with those people, let them build you up to this point, and then hopefully you can get to a point where you say something that everyone's like, yeah.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you came.
Yeah, we are, man.
Don't ever let the internet make you. We gotta let him go. Don't let the internet make you feel like there's not love for you out
Bet.
here. I know how it is. I'm sure you get love in
Nah,
real
my
life,
boy
you
Slim
know?
called me yesterday. He was like, hey, man, I know you're going up to do, you know, everyday struggle. He was like, hey, man, just know, like, people love you, man. Don't
Yeah.
even, and that meant a lot, you know. So, like, because I know, I mean, I keep bringing the Mac thing up, but that's also because, like, you know, I don't want to ever let them names die. But, like, I know Mac,
That one
when he
hurt.
left,
Yeah.
he didn't leave feeling loved.
Yeah.
And, like, that shit fucks me up.
That's so sad.
It
Yeah.
fucks me up, man, because he should have felt that. I know death comes. It comes for all of us. I mean, and you know what? I believe that we die multiple times, because that's why we're so scared of death, because we were already born knowing what death felt like. That's why we just know that it's coming. You know, we know that it's coming because we felt it before. I believe that these are just food bodies and that we come back over and over. But, like, he deserved to close his eyes feeling good about everything he did on this earth, because he did something that, like, meant a lot to, like, if anybody, me. Like, that, it made me be a better musician, like, you know what I'm saying? So I guess I'm here to feel all that love, you know.
We appreciate you, brother,
We
for
wanna give
real.
you
Love,
your
love,
flowers.
love.
You
Appreciate
are
it, for
loved.
real, yeah.
You are
Real
loved.
shit.
Yo, go check out his album Hotel Diablo, and can we come to your tour? Can we get VIP
Yes,
tickets?
yes,
I
yes.
will come if it's not
Young
VIP
Thug,
tickets,
Machine
but
Gun
we would
Kelly
love
coming to
come,
a city
please. Okay,
ASAP.
thanks.
Other things than that. No, I do have one last question.
What?
Is there any way you and Shady could reconcile, bro? Like, some type of, is there any closure to that? Because we love closure. Look at Drake and Meek.
Yeah.
Is there anything that y'all can come back together, or at least not come back together, but, like, have a conversation?
Put us on a track, see who comes harder.
I'll fuck with it.
Best way to say it. With that.
I'll fuck
And
with
on that note,
Right.
I'll fuck with
see
it.
you guys next time
I'll
on
fuck with
Everyday
it.
Struggle. Thank you to MGK for coming
You still
through.
got that, you still got that fire in the stomach, man. Yo,
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.